This is a small clip from one of my main videos. If you like it, then please check out the original video. Okay, I love you. It's time for my absolute favorite, Word Spud. Oh, shit. Sorry, this tends to happen when I think about Word Spud. I guess we better talk about this game, huh? Word Spud is the laughingstock of the Jackbox series, and is often the butt of the joke due to being unanimously agreed upon as hot garbage. This game is crapola. So a game of Word Spud goes a little something like this. The game gives the group a random word, for example, horse. This word gets handed to one of the players, and now they have to type another word that plays off of the word they were given. Like horse, shoe, horseshoe. After that, the next player gets given the word shoe, and now they have to play off of that word with another fitting word. Something like shoe lace, shoelace, so on and so forth. Every time a player submits a word, the group must cast a majority vote to decide whether it gets approved or rejected. Approve a word to keep running with it, and reject a word to discard it and get a new random word to work with. These votes also award/remove points from the player who submitted said word, which is how the overall score is kept. Players can also type in word suggestions when it's not their turn. I guess this can give the player whose turn it is some ideas if they can't think of anything, but this never really amounted to that much when I played. That's it. No, like, that's Word Spud. That is all this game is. You just keep adding words onto the pile until you end up with this big paragraph at the end, and that's the game. You know, like horse, horseshoe, shoelace, that's the whole game. You do that and only that the entire time. I genuinely have no idea what they were expecting us to do with this. On its own, this game's concept just doesn't open itself up to fucking anything. I assume that the game is supposed to be funny, but if these are genuinely the rules they want you to play by, then I don't know how that's possible. No one ever knows what to say. We try to come up with ways to make the experience funny, but when all you have to work with is just a word, like a regular ass word, it just makes for an awkward time when everyone's actively struggling to think of anything to write down. Even the in-game description for Word Spud is boring as fuck. Like, look, this is how they explain the game. Keep the words rolling all night. Just finish the word coming toward you, like male blank. Male enhancement, you say? You nailed it. Like, that's not funny. Playing this game the way they intend you to brings literally no joy or entertainment value. It's so boring. I think the idea they had in mind was for you to create a funny, nonsensical paragraph that you can read after the fact, but it's just never that interesting. Considering the whole point of the game is to write a word that bounces off the previous word, you're never really gonna be amused or caught off guard by the paragraph as you read it, because even without context, it's pretty easy to tell that it was made just by stringing a bunch of related words together. And as a player, I literally saw the paragraph get made, one word at a time. So if it wasn't funny while I was making it, then I sincerely doubt it's going to be any funnier after the fact. It especially doesn't help that there are no gimmicks or gameplay shakeups the entire game. Most Jackbox games are split into rounds where there are new twists added as you progress, but here, nothing ever changes. It's just the same boring, repetitive gameplay for the entire duration of the game. As uninteresting as a Jackbox game could possibly be. For a game that's very obviously based on the concept of hot potato, you'd think it might be a bit faster than this, or at least speed up over time, but nope, it's just fucking slow. And I mean shit, as if the game's concept wasn't boring enough. How about this presentation? The entire game takes place in front of this dull gray background, and there is absolutely no host or narrator, by the way. Something literally every other Jackbox game has to give the experience more life and break the monotony a bit. Word Spud is the only game without one, despite needing it the absolute most. I'm convinced it was supposed to have one and they just didn't show up. Finally, there's the music. I think the music in these Jackbox games can get pretty damn good at times, honestly, but the music in Word Spud is so bland and unengaging. It really helps the whole thing culminate into the saddest party experience of all time. Just get a load of this. Boring. This game easily deserves its reputation as one of the weakest in the series, quite possibly the weakest. While there are a handful of other Jackbox games I dislike more than this one, I think it's fair to say that this game is objectively the worst. I find a few others to be a bit more insufferable, but this is the one that I can truly say doesn't succeed at what it tries to do at all. So, what keeps this game out of the absolute bottom? Well, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, despite everything I've said about this game, it can be a bit fun sometimes, albeit in all the wrong ways. I just can't bring myself to completely despise this game. Sometimes it's just so shit that I can't help but laugh at how horrible the situation I'm in is. This is horrendous. And mind you, I don't laugh because the game is funny. I laugh because the situation the game puts us in is funny. The situation of pure torture via a horrendous party game. It's so garbage that I just can't help but laugh at it sometimes. Word Spud is an absolute joke of a game, and I laugh at it accordingly. And to be completely honest with you, if you just flat out ignore the rules the game sets before you, you can find ways to make this fun. You could hypothetically use this as a tool to make funny one word at a time stories with, or do what my group tends to do and treat each word as if it were a quiplash prompt, and just try to create a funny joke off of it, which can garner a laugh every every now and then. Mind you, we never decide or plan to play the game like this, it's just kinda what we resort to. In the end though, yeah, Word Spud sucks. Absolutely zero redeeming qualities unless you just disregard the game's rules entirely. You can just barely squeeze some fun out of it if you try hard enough, but at that point you're better off doing literally anything else. Avoid it like the plague.